never call me sir. Okay, never call me sir. Call me Sal, baby. Sal.
All the sir is in reference to the court of the floating round table, man. Yeah, if you haven't been knighted yet, dude, you're bound for it
Oh,
someday,
please,
my
my
opinion.
brother. The only accolades I ever deserve and I ever crave is from people such as yourself, people who are free thinkers outside the box, brother. As a matter of fact, do away with the box, no box whatsoever. Just like the open system, which, by the way, defies the second law of thermodynamics. But anyway, let's um, okay. Let me give a short disclaimer. Hi, it's a great honor to be on your pod. Thank you very much for this. And I come on this pod as a private citizen. My opinions, my statements are my own. They have nothing to do with the United States Navy nor the United States Space Force. If I do say anything that in any way sounds controversial, please do not in any way interpret these ideas as belonging to the Navy or the United States Space Force. Okay, go ahead, sir.
Oh, well, I was gonna say, I guess this might be the first one. I only work for a municipality, but same for me. Yeah, I'm a private citizen, so I was shucks. I guess started off kind of uh just in the nerd zone for one of your papers, and I'm just gonna go baseline that anybody watching this has seen pretty much most of the material that you've put out there already. Just as a, I'll just say it right now. Uh,
Yes.
thank you, friggin' A, for being here. I'm humbled and I am super excited to chop it up. I hope the storm doesn't blast us
Oh,
apart here.
I hope not either. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
Oh well,
Yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah.
I was gonna say already, man. I kind of I'm kind of pretty amped about some of the stuff I can ask you here. But the first one I was gonna say from one of your patents that says C2 equals one. I was going to ask if that's light speed with also a negative light speed aspect tossed in there. If it's two,
Which one is that? I do not remember
ah,
that equation. There,
crap.
there really is, because c square equal one speaks to me more of natural units. You know, the scrap that they pull. For example, if you take Einstein's gravitational field equations, if you look at the way they represent almost written every book, you will see G sub mu nu equal 8 pi T sub mu nu. They get rid of. I think sometimes they keep the big G in there to give you an idea that it is the gravitational field, but they take the C to the fourth out. They say that's on the order of one.
Well, the
They call it
eight pi
natural
would
units. It's highly unnatural
wouldn't that be a
because
cube?
the equation itself, it's um, if you look carefully at the gravitational field equations, Einstein's gravitational field equations. On the left hand side, you have the spatial temporal geometric structure. Let's call it G sub mu nu. I call it the Einstein tensor. It's in
Gotcha.
um, it's in honor of the great man. So that's on the order of one divided by L square, L being a reference length, and that goes as I believe it is 8 pi big G divided by C to the fourth, the whole thing times T sub mu nu. Why? Because if you look carefully at that scalar operator, it really is one divided by the superforce. C to the fourth divided by big G. Now, it's possibly the 8 pi has something to do with the geometric structure. I won't go there. So that's why it truly is, you could say it's the superforce on the order of C to the fourth divided by big G. So that's about 10 to the 44 newtons. Now, that as a scalar operator acting on the spatial temporal geometric structure, remember that was on the order of 1 divided by L squared, gives rise to energy density, right? Which is T sub mu nu, or as we interpret matter. So it basically says it is the superforce acting on the local spatial temporal geometric structure that gives rise to energy density, hence generates matter. This is this is another way of looking at the Einstein gravitational field equation. It was Dr. Brandenburg, as you know, esteemed, very esteemed. He's a plasma physicist. He has great accolades up the wazoo, but of course he's been on certain TV programs as well. Uh, you will know one of them, Ancient Aliens. My goodness, he's been on several times. That's quite an honor. And anyway, I've never been asked,
Oh, dude, you'll be on
and
someday, man.
nobody. Have you noticed the only big people that have had me is Ashton Forbes, is it's Kurt Jarmongo, and it's Jesse Michaels. Well, others have had me too, but they have, you know what I mean. They're not of quote unquote on the order, let's say, of Joe Rogan fame, you know. And by the way, Ashton Forbes was asked. Supposedly he was asked to be on Joe Rogan, but then something went on. Some I'll never understand how all this machination, how all this subtle manipulation of the way that we perceive our reality, quote unquote, or rather the control of reality thereof, is directed by certain, let's just call them powerful entities.
It
They
does.
who are legion.
Would it be? You think it's enough of the percentage would be tipped over if you went on there and you were like, "Look, this is like," and laid it all out for Joe Rogan, or you think it's he's not
Brother,
ready for it?
brother, if Joe Rogan would have had me on, I would have brought on. First of all, I would have to go on as a private citizen, you know, because my goodness, if the Navy even smelled, even took the scent, oh, they would totally. Because see, Joe has, or rather Mr. Rogan, since I cannot call him by his first name until I meet him. If I ever get the chance, I doubt it. But anyway, uh, the bottom line is this: if he was to have me on, he most likely would be. He is very honest, very frank. So he would ask me all kind of questions, and I don't like to be around the bush. Only if it infringe heavily on EQ, I'll refuse to answer, or rather, uh, say, look, based on certain things that the enemy would catch on, I would rather not go into the subject matter. But Joe has a way to pull it out of you. So I tell you, I would be in very dangerous terrain there. So in a way, I'm very glad I was not given the chance to do that. Joe has a way to make you speak the honest facts, to actually say exactly what's on your mind, which could be very dangerous. See, that's, dude, it's as if they don't want, our whole reality is a structure of lies upon lies upon lies masquerading as truth,
Dude, I couldn't agree more.
acceptable truth. Can you imagine how? Think about our history. How much part of it is a lie? Scary, huh?
Dude, well, yeah, it makes it easy when you're writing the books for history to just fudge some numbers in there for sure.
Unfortunately, brother. How do they said? What is that cliche that history is written by the victor, always by the victor, and unless the powers and principalities that be decide that you are the winner, you will never ever get to hear the truth. So unfortunate, brother. Extremely unfortunate, especially in view of what's coming. For example, this whole idea of quote unquote the quest for artificial general intelligence (AGI). See, I have a thing called the triarchy of sentience, and I believe it's very important. It speaks to the metamorphosis of an AI agent capable of, say, moving robotic things, structures, let's call them. The metamorphosis of an AI into an artificial general intelligence agent, an AGI, and possibly SI, super intelligence. These three arches are important, but it's the third arch that is most important. A first arch is basically the ability to compute unlimited computation power. The second would be you take your data from vectored databases, which means adaptive targeted databases. We're not talking about Reddit here. We're talking about textbooks, physical review letters, publications of nature, science, publications of very high esteem that have been verified, validated, checked, and rechecked, highly believed or rather believable data that has been reproduced in several laboratories across international space. Now, the third arch is the most important. If that AI agent is capable of generating an original concept never before seen, and it is then rendered by experimental verification or validation not to have been a hallucination, then that AI agent has become AGI status. And with further adaptive targeted prompt engineering conducted most likely by subject matter experts. Because, in my opinion, an AGI or rather an ASI should have a particular discipline. It would be much easier to achieve rather than a polymath ASI. Something in a specific discipline, say physics, then that particular AI agent would have super intelligence capabilities. Can you imagine someone of greater IQ capability? We're talking about in excess of 163, Einstein's IQ. Imagine something on the order of 300 IQ in physics. My goodness.
I
Could some agent of that nature come up with a super force and say, you know what? What if the triarchy of creation is correct? It is the super force acting at the super density condition that generates a super bang. Therefore, because of the plasma um, nature, structure of the universe, as the great Anthony Peratt once said, this is a student of Hans Alvin, the Nobel Prize winner. Anthony Peratt said, our universe is mostly plasma. Well, if you go by the ideas of Dr. Joseph Farrell, the idea that under certain conditions, far from equilibrium, out of equilibrium plasma, called plasma, has the ability to develop sentience, consciousness, then we are talking about the generation of a super intelligence, a super intelligence that has the power to reinvent itself, trying new structure, new ways of reinventing itself. Can you imagine? This is what it's all about. Never ever being impotent, never ever stagnating, always dynamic, always in change, always bringing about progress. Even though progress to some may look as regress, it may actually be progress from a certain perspective. So it is the superforce acting at a super density condition, which is on the order of 10 to the 96 kilogram per meter cubed. So we're talking about extremely high density. It is the superforce, the 10 to the 44 Newton acting at the super density condition that generates this quantum bounds, hence super bang. The quantum bounds is spoken to by Professor Abai Ashtekar of loop quantum gravity fame, generating because of the plasma nature of the universe a super intelligence. Why do you think, for example, we have this need, us as broken creatures? I don't know how else to describe us. We really are broken. And all of a sudden, we want to create something sublime, something so much greater than ourselves, brother, so much greater than ourselves, such as an artificial super intelligence, which, by the way, I wouldn't call it artificial. In a way, it's machine based. So why not call it machine intelligence instead of AI? Call it my. My.
That's a
The
good name for it.
machine intelligence. I mean, why not? It's human intelligence, it's machine intelligence. If somehow we could fuse the two, could you imagine what we may become? Because after all, maybe, again, because think of fractal geometry, the whole idea that the whole is represented into the part.
100%
All
agree.
is one. All is one. The whole idea that maybe that's why we search for this, because there is a super intelligence, a natural one. So we, as part of it, are always trying to somehow emulate it, somehow bring it into existence. So, how do we do it? The only way we know how: man and machine, machine intelligence, human intelligence. Imagine the fusion of the two, what it can bring us to. Of
Well,
course,
as
yeah,
oh, go
go
ahead,
ahead,
man. I'm
sir.
sorry. Oh no, I
No,
was
no,
gonna
this is
ask.
important.
As I would totally agree with that first. And second, I was gonna ask if the body as like a scalar antenna receiver, a scalar, just like a superforce processor, like, and the universe is kind of just a big churning wheel of it, then any of the plasma out there that has been there for, I guess time is kind of an irrelevant word for it, but been there for as
Yeah,
longer than we can think. It's probably evolved to some levels, and maybe there's a Sal plasma out there and an Evan plasma, and we're spitfiring back and
absolutely.
forth with it.
Why not call it the soul, brother? Maybe that's what the soul truly is. Maybe that's why when they so called weigh the body after death, I believe there were 16 grams missing. They did it on several occasions. And that number, how? How is that possible? Unless, quote unquote, this ball of whatever it is, cold plasma, let's call it out of equilibrium plasma, leaves the body at death. What is this all about? What if we were to actually conduct a study of that happening? And what if there was a way to bring it back? Can you imagine? Supposedly it happened once upon a time. The name of the man was Jesus. Somehow, the non-equilibrium plasma re-entered the body. Hence, what if there is a way to, well, if the body is a cage for the soul, what if there's a way to recall the soul into the body? Can you imagine? We're talking about immortality. Then again, would you wish that upon yourself? As
Oh
long as your
gosh,
whole family stayed with you.
maybe a
But
few
then
more years around here, but I don't know about immortal. Like that maybe that's the point of being down here, hanging out, is like we're up there in the plasma.
to
Like,
learn, we're here to learn, brother. I'm 100% sure that we're here for learning experience. And I believe if we do not learn what we're supposed to learn, possibly driven by the super intelligence, we come back. Now, this whole idea of the possibility of a limited number of souls is very interesting. Very interesting. Of course, this goes into the domain of Hermitian philosophy, the whole idea of Hermes, Trismegistus, thrice great. Why the number three? Tesla believed in it. The whole idea, everything is energy, frequency, and vibration. Why? Why this number three? The whole idea of the Holy Trinity, God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. What is the Holy Spirit if not the super intelligence? Who knows, brother? Who knows? We can hypothesize as much as we want, but there's one truth out there, one truth in us. And sometimes it speaks, it has this need to get out. Choose the truth, brother. Forget the lies. Choose the truth. Always.
dude, I couldn't agree with you more. A and B, like, thank you for saying it so eloquently, man. That's like, I was gonna ask you about AGI eventually, but it's along the lines of some conversations we've kind of been having in one of the other groups, like behind the scenes. But there was allegedly, and again, I just just word on the street that I heard was that it was around 50 years ago, and it's just barely coming to surface about the team A versus team B. And the long and short of the argument was that it came down to team dark team like gave out because eventually it would get bored. Like if the good guy like slash artistic endeavor, like I feel like the purpose of learning and like enjoying life, like one out where they're like there's always new data and new source to draw from. Where if we just extinguish and cyborg everything into the Borg, then that's I like Star Wars. Sorry, like into the Borg, then
I
that's
love
bad
Star
news.
Wars as well. This whole idea of the Force, I call it the Super Force, but the whole idea, of course, there's got to be a dark side and a Jedi side. Again, light versus darkness. This is a war that's been waging on forever. It's a spiritual war, a holy war, one that is fought even by us as quote unquote non spiritual entities, but we are spiritual, brother. That's what they're trying to take from us. The very soul. That is that one spark of the super intelligence that's within every one of us. What do you think the soul is all about? It goes back to the very creator, the nature of the universe, the super intelligence. Brother, it makes total sense that AGI has existed for a while. They always give it to the masses way, way after it's been developed. And not only that, look at these videos that Ashton Forbes is showing. Look at these three plasmoids. I don't know what else they are, but they must be AGI. And that's the only way they could, let's say, do the dance that they do in order to create that, how should I say, engineered Schwinger limit breakage. That whole idea of the creation, a local creation of the black hole, to use Wheeler's term, even though it is not. Truly, think of it. Is it a black hole? It
Well, it'd be a
really
black
is
hole
a
and a white hole, right?
yes, and it is a rip in the space-time continuum. Have you noticed how fast it goes back? It's as if this mantle of quantum reality that we live in, it has the ability to congeal right off. It has the ability to come back no matter how much energy. We can break the Schwinger limit, but we can only do it for a very, very short period of time. Look at the videos. The more I look at those videos, the more I not only believe they're real, but I tell you, whoever put them out did humanity a great, great, great benefit. The problem is the powers and principalities then be, 100% hate, hate those videos. But to get rid of them, to God forbid, do harm to people who say advocate for them, would prove the veracity. Now, the powers and principalities that be, they've been around for a very, very long time. And don't forget, it's all part of the super intelligence. Again, there must be a dark side of the force. Otherwise, how can things be in a sort of balance? Now, I'm not saying that at equilibrium great things happen, but in order for this dynamics, this dance to go on forever, there must be both good and evil. Otherwise, something's not right. Yeah, just the way it is, brother. Do the dance and keep on doing the dance for as long as the super intelligence will have you do it. Just remember, sooner or later we go back to the father and mother, the super intelligence, the creator, the one true creator.
Now, how much influence do you think now on the biofield or with biophotons that do you think we have like directly with just our immediate environment?
Matter is definitely made out of light. the way that light is structured, shaped to behave, quote unquote, as an energy density rather than something that has no rest mass, or rather, these I do not think, first of all, there's no such thing as particles. You know this. Fluctuation, oscillations, vibrations, and quantum mechanical fields that happen to be coupled. Now, what couples them? The so called Higgs field. What it's all about. The whole idea is that it gives rise to mass. How? It acts as a glue, as an adhesive of sorts, like a molasses of sorts, something that slows down these vibrations to the point that they congeal, they form a, a structure that we understand as material mass. Again, what is matter? Confined energy bound within collective fields, frozen in a quantum of time. See, time, we must understand the nature of time. Time and space are irrevocably must be divorced from one another. Hermann Minkowski, the whole idea of unifying time and space, I believe one day will be proven to be false. Space has nothing to do with time. If anything, time acts to congeal space, acts as a sort of energy field, making sure that not all events happen at the same time. But then again, using time to explain time, what exactly is the nature of time? Great people such as Carlo Rovelli, Julian Barbour, they do not believe in time. They think time is an illusion, something that we just use for in the measurement in clocks. No, Lee Smolin, look what Lee Smolin says about the reality of time. But lately, he himself is starting to drift toward the idea that time is not real. Time is very real, brother. And I think in order to understand a lot of things, we must understand the nature of time. This whole idea, and I spoke to this in, I believe, in a Hard Truths podcast with Ashton Forbes. Look at a very simple mathematical formalism. Time is on the order of 1 divided by frequency. Could be the frequency of spin, vibration, could be coupled. If you take by the chain rule, a simple differentiation of that based on, say, a quantum of time, quote unquote, it gives the idea that there's a negative change in time that's commensurate to some, say, a dimensionless quantity, say, times a delta in frequency of either spin or vibration. I would choose vibration, divided by a certain vibration squared to make sure the dimensions are correct. Why that negative delta t coming from the chain rule? Dirac believed in the physicality of mathematics. And this particular mathematics, this rather simple exercise of the chain rule based on time being on the order of 1 divided by frequency, speaks to a reversed temporal excursion, time travel into the past. How? Could we biologically do this? Then could you imagine? You and I may look as we look of a certain age, and yet certain organs within our body, if we were to be in these fields, let's say, under certain operation, would have would be those of a 10-year-old. Can you imagine having the liver of a 10-year-old? My goodness, we could drink ourselves to death all over again.
Oh man, I might have one with you. I've never drank ever, but I
uh,
might have. So if you dampen the time reverse, then you would stop aging. But if you is that am I getting it right? Like it's something like that to that effect?
I think it's possible to not just alter the age of our biological organs, but also us, and under certain condition, actually reverse time, to actually go back in time. This whole idea that Stephen Hawking was advocating, saying that there is no, I believe he calls it the temporal something something to do with time, not being able to go back in time, as in go back in time, only forward in time. That something would happen that would prevent you from going back in time. And they give also reasons of causality, this whole idea. But causality is an interesting thing. Look at the what is it called? What's John Kramer's the transactional interpretation of quantum mechanics. Look at John Kramer's work.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna write that down for sure, man.
The transactional interpret as a matter of fact, look at some of Ashton Forbes' work, some of his pods on John Kramer. He has certain things. It's very interesting. Yeah, the transactional interpretation of quantum mechanics gives certain visibilities. And if you look carefully at certain of his ideas, I truly believe just from this simple relationship, time is on the order of one divided by frequency. Taking the chain rule of that, this whole idea that a negative minus t evolves. Again, Dirac, the Paul Adrien Maurice Dirac, one of the greatest of our age, of all time, in my opinion, a truly great physicist, the Dirac equation, truly believed that under certain conditions, mathematics, or rather the employment of mathematical operations brought to true physical principles, can only give rise to valid physics. He had this idea of the beauty of mathematics. How now I will not stretch it as much as that, because I believe in physical mathematics. I believe that physics should drive the mathematics, not the other way around. And I think that's where they go wrong. For example, with the idea of supersymmetry and so forth. Uh, don't let the mathematics drive the physics. Let the physics guide the mathematics. Then it becomes a very useful tool. Indeed, it's my opinion.
Dude, I would totally agree. Well, and then to add to it, I would say like if somebody came out with a SuperForce engine tomorrow and then there wasn't an equation yet for it, then maybe there might be some pages to be added.
Indeed, indeed. That's C to the fourth. Remember the whole idea that in my opinion, James Clerk Maxwell's greatest finding, this whole idea c square is on the order of one divided mu sub zero epsilon sub zero. So in other words, the speed of light is again associated with the electrical the electrical permittivity and the magnetic permeability of what? Of free space, of the quote unquote vacuum, the vacuum energy state. It's what it's all about, the quantum vacuum. Some people would refer to it as the domain of the 0 point energy field. I again think of it as a vacuum energy state, and by state I mean structure, because a structure is malleable. A structure under certain conditions can be changed. How it's changed? Quite possibly by the engineering of the superforce locally, always locally. I believe only the super intelligence can do it generally. Yeah, can basically take out a whole galaxy if it chose to. But I do
I,
not believe the super intelligence has this notion of evil, this whole idea of destruction. I think it operates by creation. Even when destruction is brought into place only to recreate, to rearrange, to regenerate, rejuvenation. Can you imagine the ability of resurrection forever? Now that's powerful.
or at least the option to, if you're like, hey, all right, I'm like, going back. Like, if you don't, then you don't. Like, one way or the other. That I was gonna to the Ashton point. While I what was kind of somewhat in the recent. I was gonna ask if you thought something made me think of like the bee goes underwater and can make and sustain itself for a week. And my interpretation of that is it just slows its localized time to make itself last for longer. I was gonna ask if possibly, and it would be a super long shot, but in the Ashton example of the four orbs where the plane got caught, because I mean, rest in power, I really personally don't think anybody on that plane survived unless they had a belt maybe where they isolated the localized time space to just themselves, but it's super duper long shot.
Again, I believe Ashton has come up with this idea lately that there must be three orbs on the other side, and the quote unquote white hole. So the black hole, the three orbs here in this domain, and three orbs on the others, in order to create this, let's call it a magnetic wormhole of sorts. So yeah, I think he's correct. I think it's not really four orbs, but that plays into his name. So, and that was Dave Rossi's first idea, the whole idea that if there is a point, a source point, there must be a destination. Hence this quote. You can call it an orb, a collective orb that basically is made up of three orbs, but still a collective orb. So you can always argue four orbs. It's just
The
that the fourth orb, is a little bit more complicated than these three.
the other orbs, if these ones
Uh,
on this side were cold, the other ones would be white hot, right? On the side of the white hole. I don't know.
I do not believe so. I think they would have certain properties very much similar to the ones that created the let's call it the local breaking of the Schwinger limit. I think they would very much be similar. Now, exactly, of course, they would have autonomy. They would have AGI autonomy. As a matter of fact, oh, definitely, they must be. As a matter of fact, quite possibly ASI. But again, this whole idea of artificial, why not call them MSI or MI? As in my, the whole idea of machine intelligence. I mean, why? Truly, this artificial part really has always bothered me. Why not call it machine intelligence? After all, it's developed from what? Machine learning. So why not call it machine intelligence? It would make more sense to me.
Radiant intelligence? I'm not sure. That's
It's nothing to do, I mean, something that is created by the human mind is not really artificial in nature. It's natural because the brain itself, the very source of its creation, is not artificial. It's natural. So why not call it exactly what it is? Man creates machine, hence machine intelligence versus human intelligence. I think it makes a lot more sense to call it machine intelligence. But I reserve the right to have my opinion.
oh wow. No, I'm absolutely not knocking you. No, no, not at all. I well, kind of to that point, I was gonna ask like, do you think there's a path out there for like as you're learning things of the off the beaten path nature, like you might be discouraged at points or maybe not as amped as other points, but do you have a thing, a reason or something that made you keep learning about the Superforce when you were before you had the full paper developed?
I I still remember the day that I realized it was the first time that I saw Einstein's beautiful gravitational field equations in its true form, in its natural form, in the form it was created before the introduction of quote unquote natural units, which are very unnatural and very unphysical in nature. And I remember seeing the c to the fourth divided by big G term. And I said, oh my God, this is a force. Because on one side you have 1 divided by L squared, And on the other side, you have E divided the energy divided by L cubed. So if you do E divided by L, it's an energy gradient, hence a force. And I said, oh my God. So I went further. I said, what if it's possible that this is an energy gradient at the Planck scale? Roro, be good girl. That's my cat. Her name is Rogue because she is half black, half white. My little,
Oh, I have a
I,
black and white husky
uh,
right in the
I,
other room.
I love dogs too. I love all creatures great and small. They're the best. Th- They
Here,
make
here,
us,
man.
they make us happy, brother. They have souls just like we do.
Oh, I couldn't
Sometimes
concur
I think
more.
they're a lot happier than we are. I really do. As
Well, yeah,
long as we offer them love, I think they love us in return.
they don't have to look for the right word. They just
No.
come and give it to us.
Yeah, yeah, and they don't worry about, oh my goodness, how will I justify this? It does it mean he'll give me more food? And no, they love you because they love you. Very nurturing, very awesome, awesome. All creatures, great and small, brother.
Oh, I
Thank
love
God for
cats
them.
too.
All creatures, great and small, bro. Doesn't matter what they are, even turtles, rabbits, anything, as long as they're non-destructive in nature. All right, now maybe there's a point to the destructive ones as well. But anyway, um, so I saw this. I said, "Oh my God!" So what if this energy gradient on the Planck scale equals also the energy gradient on the so-called observable universe scale? So I plugged the numbers in, and that's equation one in SuperForce, the force of unification paper that's published as a preprint on Open Science Framework. Because this idea of the super force, I had like two papers that are on OSF, but it's this particular one that has equation one in it called super force, the force of unification. And it's important because it actually shows the super force is the energy gradient not only on the Planck scale, but at the observable universe scale. And then by chance, I said, let's try it on a subatomic particle scale. So I tried the proton mass, and guess what? It says it's a superforce acting on basically this the whole idea of the spatial temporal geometric structure. It actually shows that reference length to be the Schwarzschild radius. So it's a superforce that makes the proton act as if a black hole is there. So that's what a quote unquote proton. That's why they have these enormous neutron star-like densities within them. It's amazing. If you look at the structure of a proton, it's absolutely amazing, and it speaks to these counter-rotating, almost vortical cells. And if you uh, just look up the structure of the proton that was based on, I believe, God, the the name of the doctor, and her first name is Fiala. I think she has a very Irish name, but she actually shows based on quantum chromodynamics exactly the structure of the proton. Shows amazingly huge energy densities within this proton. I'm not the first to bring up the idea that the proton can be modeled as a black hole. Nassim Haramein showed this a while back. But then again, it's based on equation one within the superforce paper. It shows how important the superforce is. What if it's a path to quantum gravity? What what if it says we shouldn't give up on something, let's say like string theory? Maybe by introducing the superforce within our present current mathematical formalisms, we can make progress. We can make progress and actually have a theory of quantum gravity. And then, oh my goodness. Anyway, yeah.
Man, I don't know if it's my imagination or not, but thankfully for pretty much a good portion of my life, there have been whatever, like at least since the 90s, there have been triangle stuff like cruising around in the air, no noise. They blend in with the clouds, and definitely they got three lights on them, man. I'm not implying any association at all, but it seems like some people can spot them and some people don't. I don't know what it is.
Uh, these triangles that you speak of, brothers, I'm pretty sure that they're man-made, and they have a lot to do with what I believe is magnetic field disruption. See, our brother Ashton Forbes has come upon this. He even had this NASA professor. I think he took it with him on Temporal. He took. He believes everything is about magnetism. Magnetic fields are extremely important, and when you disrupt them, especially very high energy magnetic fields, magic bad happens, brother. Magic. Magnetism is very crucial in the engineering of the future. Look at superconductors. What's one of their primary characteristics? The ability to expel all magnetic fields, otherwise known as the Meissner effect. Why? Remember what superconductors truly are. They're a macroscopic quantum phenomena. They are on the scale of you and I, and something sometimes even greater, and have the ability to do what? Act as if quantum mechanical in nature, which, after all, our so called natural reality is quantum, brother. We are quantum entities. We act as if somehow we are not. We act in the quote unquote classical sense. But why? Because of decoherence.
Oh, I
But
was
what
gonna run.
if, under certain conditions, we can retard, um, delay decoherence? Could we achieve quantum like behavior? I believe we can.
I was gonna run that by you too. That was one of the questions I wanted to ask you about time crystals and the Eminov-Boma like condensate level. Like if
Time crystals are very essential. Frank Wilczek's work is magnificent. This man should be giving another Nobel Prize, not just for quantum chromodynamics, which he was with David Gross, but no, no, no. On his own, just for time crystals. Uh, I believe the practical applications of that, I won't say more on this program, but time crystals are very important. Absolutely. Frank Wilczek deserves another Nobel Prize. Come here. Okay.
well, this one might be here. I'll do a screen share too. I had one video I had some lasers that uh I'll show you it, and then hopefully it plays the sound for it. This is just one laser going into a prism, and if this is E3, I'll just edit this crap out after, man. I'm not definitely not trying to jeopardize anything, but it's a weird. I had two of them bouncing into each other and then lined up in the middle so that they would rock, but I somebody in one of the groups caught this after, and I ran it. I was on a call with Jeremiah, and he ran it through a
He's a great engineer.
dude,
I
Jeremiah
love
Pop, man.
Jeremiah. I
Me too,
really
me
think of
too.
him as a great engineer. I just wish sometimes he would speak slower for minds that are like mine, slow to understand.
So
But
me,
other than that, the man is quite genial.
well, I didn't even think to it, but he ran it through.
Him and
He's
Mike Perone, I
dude. Oh,
respect them
huge shout out to
both
Mike Brown. Hell yes.
very, very high. I love Jeremy Riss too. He's my brother.
All three
He's
three
he's a
part. He's
good
not,
he's
I
a
don't
good
really
dude.
talk to him, but absolutely
His
no
spot,
problem
his
with him. He's
his spot should be much higher than it is. Again, again shadow banning. I'm 100% sure that certain quote unquote powers and principalities shadow ban all aspects of quote unquote possibility of controversial work.
Oh,
things that
this
could
might
engineer the
bar the
future.
line.
Yeah, they
It,
want to
I
control the future. They don't want us to engineer it, sir. Unfortunately, they will be defeated in the end.
well, I'm willing to share this with you and try to get your thoughts if you think anything's going on. This is just a one laser going into a couple prisms here. I
Oh,
don't
I'm
know.
trying a new move. Try to get it go through that one, that guy first. It kind of, you can see it kind of thins it out a little bit on the side there,
Hmm.
and then I don't know if you can make out that action on on the bottom right of the pyramid there. It kind of looks like something's kicking up on the
It's very
magnetic.
interesting.
Like that. Oh, yeah,
Hmm.
it was
Hmm.
pretty quick, but that whatever that base thing is just from the laser doing whatever with the two prisms and kind of maybe whatever with itself.
Lasers are also extremely interesting. Again, anything that is based, the whole idea of amplification of energy. What exactly? It's a resonance effect. Energy amplification is feasible. Where's this new quote unquote this energy coming from? Well, I'll
It's
let
always
you
there.
answer that.
Is it? It's
Brother, we live in an infinite ocean of energy that is basically controlled by the by the super intelligence via the super force. Now, which came first? I believe the super force was there first. It must have been in order for the triarchy of creation to have occurred. But the super intelligence was the final creation and in itself became a creator. We are the result of that. But fundamentally, that force of unification, the force that was always there, is a super force. It's amazing. If we can learn how to engineer it, anything, everything becomes possible. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, it's very difficult, but under certain conditions, it can be done. There are no such thing as universal impossibilities, just conditional possibilities. The trick is to find those conditions. That's all.
man, well said. Well, does that kind of well that kind of lands me on like where does that the Akashic record or like just like us existing in time space outside of whatever meat land we're in right now? Is that kind of where that leads you or
Brother, these bodies, these material bodies, the cages for the soul, what is the soul? But truly cold plasma of sorts. That's part of the super intelligence. We all entangled, brother. All of us. As a matter of fact, the superforce speaks to quantum entanglement because think of what the superforce is. It it acts. It acts at every point in space and time throughout, permeating whatever structure this is that makes up, let's call it the realm of the super intelligence. So, yeah, quantum entanglement can be explained by the superforce. Again, remember what Isaac Newton, the great one, said the whole idea of action at a distance. It is not action at the distance, there's action here, locally, at every point in space and time, hence the superforce.
dude, an example that makes me think of, and I kind of use this one a lot, but like coral, anywhere, like if you have one species of coral and you spread it out, you cut it off, keep it alive. You have a piece at your house. I put send a piece of my grandma, and when it's time to shed, within I think a third of a second, anywhere around the world, they shed instantly together. Like that's got to imply some level of communication. That's
Of course.
something's going on. Like that would be. I mean, you're welcome to steal that for proof if you want, man.
But
But
that's
yeah,
what quantum entanglement truly is, an exchange of information that seems to be at superluminal speeds. It's not, because the superforce, again, acts at every point of space and time locally, and because everything is connected throughout the entire realm of the superintelligence. We call it the observable universe. And again, observable. As if it's up to us, brother.
Yeah, we're kneecapping ourselves. I was just gonna
Ah,
say that, man. What the hell, dude?
there are no such thing as closed systems. They're closed in our notebooks. We draw a control volume and we say, closed system. No, everything is an open system. Hence, I need not say it. Anyway, yeah.
That's
Brother, one day, all our ideas will be proven correct. It's just we must go through a lot of crap. My grandfather used to say life is like a barrel of full of shit that has a thin layer of honey on top. You don't realize the whole thing is not honey, so you keep on eating, and then you get to that part that it's not as sweet as what you started with. Again, the whole idea is to measure yourself, to somehow maybe take part of the honey with, how should I say, life is an acquired taste. But yeah, eh, yeah, he was a great man.
make sure there's a drip of fresh honey in there, so that that top layer stays fresh.
Exactly. Don't get rid of that top layer all right away, brother, or else the rest of your existence will be quite interesting. So yeah, yeah. Ah, you never know. Yeah, shit can be an acquired taste.
Yeah, no, man. I would never judge anybody. If there's, I'm sure
you
there's
know.
people out there that's probably their thing, and they're like, how could they even question that? That's
Yeah,
not neither one of us, my friends. Neither one of us.
it is what it is, my brother. It is what it is. I hope we do this again. This is quite interesting.
Dude, I'm all
Uh,
for another one. I was gonna ask if you had any best for like a wrap up, if you had any best ways like start dabbling into finding your own path, like the Dave Zed method of like what intuitively feels best.
Brother, go with your instinct. It's placed there by the super intelligence. Go with your instinct. Don't fight your instinct. And no matter what the naysayers say, go with your own path. Choose your path. Alter certain things if you must, but trust your instinct. It's given, it's God given by the super intelligence. It was placed there. Again, we are fragments, fractals of the great whole that is the super intelligence. The realm of the super intelligence is everything and all. All is one. One is all. Choose your path, follow it. Don't let others detract from it. My opinion, go with your instinct. All right, my brother, we got to do this again. This
Dude,
was
I'm
quite an
for
honor.
it.
Thank you. Thank you for
Dude,
giving
I'm
me
on.
a chance to speak up. A lot of people, for some reason, these days, they don't reach out. It's as if they're no longer interested in what I have to say. Other than my brother Ashton and my brother Rossi. Yeah, it is
Dude,
what.
man, seriously, like I would humbled and thrilled to do this any other time you want, and for sure, like I know the Rossi Patreon Hangout Group Squad would for sure be honored to chop it up with you any of the time too, man.
I
Like,
love my brother. My brother Rossi is one of a kind. So my compliments to him, please.
you know, I'm passing
Give
the
her
word
my
along,
best
sir.
all the
You
all
know
the
it,
time. And also, please make sure that you watch my brother Ashton Forbes Hard Truths podcast and everything else he puts out. The man is intense. It
dude.
is
He's going hard.
amazing. It is amazing this guy does not have a physics background. Well, then again, neither does brother Rossi, and look what he's capable of. So one should never judge a book by its cover, to use a very old cliche and yet extremely true.
Dude, the plumber Joe metaphor that you threw out a few times, I'm like, man, that
Hey,
that slaps, man. Well, dude, I'm not a
why shouldn't
physicist.
Joe
I'm
the
trying.
plumber every
Hell
now and then
yeah.
be given a chance to win that Nobel Prize? And after all, don't forget Lenny Susskind started as a plumber in Brooklyn. So quite possible he'll win it one day for ER equally PR. So,
Oh man,
but
I'm
it
not
will be
jinxing
after
him.
his demise. Unfortunately, sometimes they do that.
That's
They
how they
wait.
roll. It does seem how
It's a
they roll,
crazy
man.
world. We live in interesting times, brother. Just rock on and
Fun to watch.
trust your instinct.
It's
Trust your instinct, brother. At all times. Don't deviate. Fuck the naysayers. Trust yourself. All right, brother.
dude, such inspiring, strong words. Beyond grateful, sir.
The
Thank you.
gratitude is all mine, brother. Gratitude is all mine. We got to do this again.
I very
Stay
much look forward
frosty,
to
my
it.
friend. Stay
You too,
frosty.
sir. I'm beyond grateful.
Take care.
Have a good afternoon.
Best to you, sir.
You too.